Aloha and good day. It's Clint Hansen with Maui Luxury Real Estate, and you're joining us at Maui Real Estate Radio. You can listen to this and all shows at Maui Real Estate Radio, or listen today, on the KAOI radio group, 1110 AM, or friends on the west side at 95.1 FM. I've got my co-host today, Byron Yap of Axia Home Loans. Say hello, Byron.
Good morning.
Good morning. And our long friend, Paul, of Friends of the Children's Justice Center. We've been working with Paul for over 20 years now, doing our annual toy drive for Friends of the Children's Justice Center. And they do so much more than Christmas time. Paul, you want to tell us a little bit about your organization and what you do?
Sure. We were designed, I was just sharing with Byron about a vision from the Wailuku Rotary Club 32 years ago. What happened was one of the judges who belonged to the club was telling his club that, it's all well and good that they're getting justice for, against the perpetrators, but there's no one there to help the children along their way on their healing path. And so what happened was the Children's Justice Center at the same time was being created. They came in and created a 501c3 called the Friends of the Children's Justice Center. And our mission was to provide the healing aspect for the children of abuse and neglect in Maui County. So that's how we originally started and still going.
And you have a larger parent company that you work through, right?
No.
Okay.
We're independent.
Oh, wow. That's huge. And the interesting thing a lot of people don't realize is, when, these situations arise all the time, from domestic dispute to, drugs, neglect, abandonment. And some of the things that people don't realize is if you're going to be going through a federal funds area, there's lots and lots of red tape. So usually the first people that are called are you guys. And can you explain a little bit about more of the services that you provide?
Correct. So what we do is we provide to any professional working with a child who's been traumatized through abuse and neglect. And we do not take any governmental funds, no state, federal, or county, because we don't want to have to say no. And we haven't had to say no to a child in years. So what happens is I'll use Maui Family Support Services. They're able to help a child to a certain point, and then they're saying, oh, our grant, because it's either federal or county or state, won't allow us to add this extra healing aspect to the child. So what happens is they'll reach out to us and says, we need X, Y, and Z for this child, and we just fill the needs. So we've got over 40 entities that we deal with, and we deal with Kaiser, the pediatric division. We deal with Department of Education, teachers. They're on the front lines to seeing when the kids in the same clothing for a week, or not having glasses and not being able to participate. And sometimes neglect isn't intentional. It might be a mom working 2 jobs and her priority is to feed the kids. And then the daughter, she can't get the glasses. And hats off to the teachers. I'll get a teacher, they'll call me. If I take this young lady to Lens Crafters, will you be able to reimburse me? I'm like, absolutely.
And do you have parents reach out to you as well?
I know we don't deal directly with the public. We feel that we're able to better utilize, because we don't really run any programs ourselves. So we're not direct service. So what we do is and a lot of people don't even know it's coming from the Friends. We sit behind the scenes and fulfill the needs of all the other entities that are providing services to the families and the children.
Who are your main partners that you work with?
Child welfare is huge because of the foster care system. The courts, juvenile court, family court, Maui Youth and Family Services, Aloha House, Malama Family Recovery Program, Maui Family Support Services, Parents and Children Together, Child Family Services. We also deal with therapists. a lot of therapists that are seeing these children and the ones that are seeing the needs that are being unmet. So we also will, as long as it's a professional in the field working with the children, we will fulfill the need.
So it sounds like correct me if I'm wrong, so I'm not that familiar with Friends of the Children's Justice Center of Maui. You're almost like a facilitator, right? So to speak. So how does, like, if, like, let's just say we have a child that goes to one of the agencies, can they request, hey, have the Friends of, the Friends help me, or you guys come in the background when they ask you?
Well, what will happen is, I'll use Kaiser as an example. The pediatrician, the doctor, Dr. Liverdays is one of them. She'll see a child come in and they'll be in dire need of clothing. And so what she'll do is she'll read out to the case managers that work for Kaiser, and she'll say, could you put a request in for this child? And what we do is we give them $150 voucher to go to shop at Ross, which is a lot of clothes at Ross, which is good. So they'll present it through the caseworker, will put in the request, and the caseworker will pick up the request and deliver it to the family. So, yeah.
Now, an example would be like, let's just say someone goes to Kaiser and they don't have any, they're not getting the help or whatever services. And they've said, hey, we've reached out to everybody. Could they come to you directly and say, hey, help me?
Technically, no. But to be honest with you, I never say no. I do have people that call me just randomly. They'll find us on a website or the Facebook page. And what I will do is I will connect them with one of the service providers that will be able to fulfill the need for them. And it's a good, it's a win-win, because now we've got this family connected to a service provider who can meet probably some other needs, maybe rent, different things that the parents are struggling with. Because our focus naturally is 0 to 18. We've extended that because of the foster care system. We will extend it up to 21.
And he's also, Paul is a wealth of connections and knowledge in the help community in general. He's usually one of the first people that I reach out when I find somebody in need, whether that's a homeless person or, somebody, there's a cat hoarder. I remember that when I reached out to you, you helped me with pet services and whatnot, and getting the cats the proper help and shelter that they needed, and health situations for the person as well. So he's really deep in the help community. But working at, what's it been, 23 years now that we've been running our toy drive.
This is the 23rd year.
Yeah. And so if anybody wants to be invited, Byron, you better be there this year. It's going to be December 3rd. Did you get the invite yet?
Not yet.
So I will definitely be emailing you, but we do one at our toy drive, and it's 3 vans full of toys that we provide. And it's amazing to see the work that Paul does with these children. It's, and I see a lot of when they're kids, little, 11, 12-year-old, boy, I remember he wasn't able to make eye contact. He's like, thank you, sir. And he was, nice and polite. And then he's a grown man now, and he looks you right in the eye, and he's a productive member of society. And I mean, it's the services that they provide change lives. I mean, it's incredible when you offer a little bit of love and help to people, that what they're able to do with their lives. So, I mean, I'm just beyond ecstatic to see it grow and become such an integral part of the help network on Maui.
So Paul, the next question I had was this: with COVID, have you seen an increase in the need for your services? What are you seeing out there right now currently?
So with COVID, a lot of nonprofits got into trouble because the funders wanted to have a direct impact, which is great. They didn't want to be paying for staff or whatever. Their focus was, how do we directly impact the families in need? So what happened was, I mentioned Hawaii Community Foundation earlier. They are an amazing, amazing foundation. And we had conversations about the need for to take the stress off the parents during these times that all lost their employment. or they became underemployed. And what happened was we were able to, laptops was huge during COVID. These kids can't afford laptops. DOE did not have enough to distribute to every child in the DOE system. So what would happen was with through Hawaii Community Foundation, working with them, we were able to create a fund that they funded for us to provide laptops for all these children that weren't able to participate in school for lack of not having a laptop. But then we also went above and beyond that. They have these things called MiFis, which, you know, I'm not techie, but I had to learn all about this during COVID, which it provides Wi-Fi for someone that doesn't have Spectrum or some type of cable service coming into the home. So we partnered up with Verizon. So it's always like, yeah, we went full, we were busier than ever during COVID, behind the scenes, just making sure that, you know, and food was a big thing. So we worked with Maui Food Bank, and we don't want to duplicate services. And I know Clint and I, in the beginning of COVID, had this conversation. He and his family were very generous to Maui Food Bank. So what we did is we have reserves. We took money out of our reserves and we made a nice generous donation to Maui Food Bank to help assist them, to assist the families that, you know, we're serving also.
Yeah, that was amazing that we worked towards one of the local churches on a food run, and it was at the time when the cars were wrapped for miles, you know, onto the highway and off onto South Kihei Road, and we served thousands of vehicles with bags of food. And you know, we donated huge sums of money and spent days like packing, and every day was just a frantic mess just to, you know, get the food to people who had lost their jobs and, you know, had no other resources to go to. So I'm so glad, you know, in those initial days that people stood up and donated to help until the county was able to acquire funds and make it, you know, a sustainable process to help people who needed food. And that's, I think, to me, the beauty of living on this island. I mean, we really do have a lot of aloha for each other. And I don't know how people would have survived if there wasn't such a strong helping network out there with the stuff that you guys do and everybody else. It's just, it's beyond me that we have it. And, you know, I know that there's people out there that have a little bit of spite in their heart. You know, I've seen it when individuals come through with nice cars and whatnot, and people would comment like, oh man, what are they doing in there? And it's like, you know, doctors and nurses are out of the job too. You know, they're maybe just moved here. They have zero fund reserves. That's like everybody was in need at that time. And I'm really proud of this island and everything that came together during that time. And it's nice to see things calm down, but there's definitely a big hole, and help is always needed, you know.
Mhm. Now, I noticed on, you know, your financials for like 2021, you guys, your company or nonprofit, you know, spent almost 330,000. Do you see, has that increased in 2022?
Yeah, we're constantly increasing it. And one thing we won't do is we won't bank money if we had a good year. We had our board meeting last night, and they were going over the finances, the treasurer, and we have a new board member. So I stopped her, and it showed that we spent 30,000 more than we were at budget for this year. But we explained to them, and, you know, we have green, yellow, red, you know, green's good, yellow, be careful, red, you know, caution, right, on your money. So there's little Excel boxes next to them, and we keep it green. And we're $31,000 over projected what we're supposed to spend. And we don't care. If that's needs there, we have reserves. And we'll just pull them out, you know. And I said, so that'll always stay green. We'll never say we're concerned. We're very fortunate with the support that comes through. We're very fortunate over the years that we've been fiscally responsible. to be able to maintain a reserve to meet all the needs. And going back to like Clinton, you know, there's so many underlining things that happened during COVID. I've been a foster parent for 28 years, and a young lady that was under my care years ago became a young mom, and she winded up becoming a young single mom. So I was volunteering at War Memorial handing out turkeys. So I called her up and I said, so-and-so, come down today, they're giving away Thanksgiving meals. And she says, oh, uncle, I don't have gas to sit in line. You know, so you don't think of how many people can't sit in that line that Clint was talking about because they'll run out of gas. They don't, you know what I mean? So it's like, we're always thinking outside the box. What's next? What's next? So another thing that we were able to do through different foundations was supply some gas cards to these people.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it's interesting that we all collectively went through that hell, and it's behind us now. It almost seems just like it was decades ago, but it was only a few years ago.
You know, we're heading into Christmas season, you know, things are happening tight. This is when it kind of gets the most stressful. What is your organization doing during these holidays that's coming up?
I got a big smile on my face. Okay, so Clint talked about Christmas. His mom got together with a few friends and did a small little luncheon, I think is what she shared with me way back, or maybe a small dinner party, and asked them all to bring gifts 23 years ago. That from 23 years ago was an amazing donation. The Friends have one of the oldest toy drives on the island. But from Donna's vision of creating
Looking for the picture.
yeah, reaching out to different community members and whatever, she went from bringing in maybe I don't know at the time, but it could have been, say she got 50 people to bring in gifts. She's gone now that literally thousands of gifts. She reached out to Bank of Hawaii, to her friend Joan Martin, and every Bank of Hawaii has a box there to help. So she constantly evolved. So the Friends last year, in partnership, Maui United Way struggled one year about giving out gifts. So what happens every year is people give me gifts up till Christmas Eve. Now there's no way to distribute them. We have to have them by the 15th of December to be able to wrap them. We have volunteers that come in and do them. We have a retired police officer. She runs the show. And we have to be able to allow time to get them to all the families, because it's a big undertaking when you're giving out 3,000 gifts. But so some of them go into storage. So when I was meeting with the old executive director of Maui United Way after the holidays, she said, oh, we had to turn some people down. And I said, don't do that. Let's join forces. Let's not say no. So since we joined forces with Maui United Way, we have never had to say no. No. Every request on these islands are being fulfilled.
So do you, I heard the 15th. So explain maybe in little, so for somebody that wants to donate or help, during these holidays, what is the procedure, or what do you anticipate? Do we go to Goodwill? Where do we go if we want to donate things to help, the less fortunate?
Well, it depends on what you want to donate. If you want to donate toys, you go to Maui Luxury Real Estate in Wailea, and there's a big toy box outside the door.
Yep. We actually already have a fair collection of toys there.
Yes, I dropped off Donna's box last week, and they already had a tremendous amount of toys sitting next to the tree. So, yeah. Or you can drop them by my office. We're in Willie Palu.
We've been working diligently on sending letters and calling out for the need. We sent almost 1,500 letters out and to friends and clients and neighbors talking about it. And this is just the beginning. You know, you can see we got a small collection coming thus far. We also like to decorate our office on a regular basis. So you'll see a big tree here, but Paul will have to come sometimes and clear out this room, and then we fill the whole thing up. I mean, literally from side to side, couch to couch, we'll fill this whole thing up, you know, 4 feet, 5 feet tall of toys.
Hey, I think you went muted. Clint, you muted it. Clint's not talking, but let me ask you
Thank you
this.
so much. I appreciate that. I think I didn't realize that. When did it cut off?
It cut off just as you pointed out the living
Oh,
area.
okay. So yeah, you can see the whole room will become full of toys. I mean, it'll go from couch to couch, come out to there. It'll be 4 feet tall, and Paul will actually, you know, sometimes have to clear it out twice, and that's not including, of course, the toy drive we do at our house on a regular basis. So that'll be on December 3rd. If anybody wants to come to that, feel free to email me at clinthansen33@gmail.com. That's CLINTHANSEN33@gmail.com, and I'll get you an invitation. It's just such a wonderful event. We have Mr. and Mrs. Claus come to take pictures of, and awesome food and great way to meet people. I hear the Grinch is going to be there this year, which is going to be pretty fun. So you'll definitely have a great time and some good shots and stories to talk the rest of the year about. But the outreach beyond just what we do in our drive and working with all the Bank of Hawaii, or what is it? Which bank is it that we work with?
Bank of Hawaii, Cardin Academy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Cardin. We do that. We go up there and work with the schools. We might be doing Seabury this year. But Donna's vision, I mean, one of the reasons that we specifically work with Friends of the Children's Justice Center is because it specifically benefits Maui kids. I mean, most of the other toy drives that you see, like Toys for Tots, they usually ship those toys off to Oahu because that's a marine-based toy drive system. So it's really important that all this work and effort goes to help the local community out. And it's often a dismay, and I know it's in people's good intentions to donate and help, but Friends of the Children's Justice Center, if you want to help local kids, it's important to work towards them as opposed to something like Toys for Tots. So if anybody's thinking about doing their own toy drive, definitely reach out to Friends of the Children's Justice Center. Oh, wow, look at that.
So that's already started. That's Emmanuel Lutheran filling a van up with a couple of my Hanai sons. And the good thing is these kids that have benefited in years past want to give back. They're always asking, Uncle, what can I do to help? Uncle, what can I do to help? So yeah, I mean, it's a tremendous. Donna's taken this from, I'll say 50 toys to 1,000 toys, plus a lot of monetary donations. Gift cards is a big struggle, as naturally financially, because you have to buy them. So as a child turns 12, it's very difficult to get a gift for someone 12 to 18. So what we've done is we've focused on giving them gift cards through that age range.
One of the nice things that I noticed on your website is it looks like, you know, I look at a lot of nonprofits and they're spending, it seems like they have a high operating budget, and it looks like you guys have a low operating budget. About 80%, correct me if I'm wrong, almost 80% of the donations go out to the public. Is that the goal? Tell me, you know,
It's higher than that. So our goal is to be under 25% operating cost. And I could tell you yesterday, because we had our board meeting last night, we're at 11%. That's unheard of for nonprofit.
That's amazing.
So I was a board member for 12 years. And when you join this board, Maureen Mars and all the little group that were founding members, Betty Lee's, who has passed on, unfortunately, but her daughter's on our board now. They call it a family. We're a family helping other families, right? it's something near and dear, but when you come in as a board member, they say you will have a job. We will assign you a task to assist with operating the agency. So I have board members that come in and do data entry, do the thank you cards, do all different types of things, CPAs that come in and do the books. So we keep it right around 11% operating costs. It's just my salary, and then we don't pay rent. So my office that I'm sitting in right now is inside the Children's Justice Center, which is part of the court. When we formed with the Children's Justice Center 32 years ago, that was the memorandum of agreement, is that we were to provide the healing aspect for the children coming through the doors. And unfortunately, my door is closed now, but we have a little young child in here today with the police and child welfare out there now that's been assaulted. So we don't even have rent as overhead. We have Spectrum. That's our big bill.
That's your
And
cost.
and it's
Spectrum.
$119 a month. You know, not to say that we don't have to buy paper and whatever else, but for the, you know, we really run on minimum, and I'm pretty cheap. You know what I mean?
Until it
So-
comes to giving.
Right. But as far as, yeah, I'm always gonna try to save wherever we can. That big van, that's my car for the next month. And Surf Rents is extremely generous to us. You know, Justin and Skip over there. So we get to use that big, huge van. And that's what I drive for the month. And like dropping Bank of Hawaii, going to Emmanuel Lutheran, and it'll be there at the Hansen's party on the 3rd. It'll be there at Shop at the Cop with the 75 gifts inside for the
Mhm.
kids for that day at Walmart. So we do a lot of different things throughout the whole year, but Christmas is literally at Shop at the Cop. I cry every year. I get so
Yeah.
emotional when Maui News comes up and starts talking to me. It's
And
just,
that's one of the things that's so good about what you guys do. And when it comes times to a donation, yes, toys are fantastic. You know, gift cards are wonderful, especially for the kids, but money also goes the furthest, because there's usually lots of other programs out there that have matching opportunities. So, you know, when you're working with Shop with the Cop, explain a little bit more about why that is such an important feature in connecting kids, you know, to the officers.
so what happens is, we have about 400 children in foster care in the county, Lanai, Molokai. And what happens is their encounter with the police is not healthy. Obviously, there had to be some type of situation that they had to be removed from their home, and it usually involves the police. So what Shop with the Cop, Bruce from Kiwanis Club, I don't know if you know Bruce McDonald, he's in the real estate business.
Yes.
But they came up with the Shop with a Cop 17 years ago and partnered with us, and naturally Maui Police Department. But it's a Kiwanis Club run event. I supply the children because of confidentiality issues. They supply a lot of the funding for the gift cards, but each child gets $100 gift card, and they have 1 hour to shop with a cop. And we have Mr. and Mrs. Claus, thanks to the Hansens. They are someone I met through Clint and Donna, and they asked if they could come and give out the gifts to the kids, and the kids just love it. And it's, you know, I don't know if you remember the ex-chief, but he's, you know, he's bigger than a door wall, you know, huge guy. And I remember a little girl, she must have been 5 or 6, with her foster mom, comes in and sees him, and that's who she gets assigned, and she runs into a clothing rack trembling. I mean, they've been traumatized through the situation, whatever happened, but all they see is a blue uniform as part of the trauma. So the chief's girlfriend, Deb, coaxes the girl out, and I got the best picture at the end of it all. So she winds up going shopping for the hour with them. I look out in the parking lot, and he's helping the foster mom load the gifts into the car, and the little girl's got his pant leg so tight, you know, she's got it all crunched up in her hand, hanging on to him. And that's the purpose of Shop with a Cop. It's to introduce these children to your protectors. You know what I mean? They're not here to cause harm, even though that was the perception the child got at the time. So no matter what the challenges these families have, the children still love their mom and dads. They don't want to see them dragged out of a house. They don't want to see them put into a police car. You know, they don't comprehend, especially when they're younger, why. You know, but it's a phenomenal event.
Now that shop with the cop, is it, they contact you directly, or how does that work? Because I'm unfamiliar with the program.
So it's for the foster children. So we started out with 25 10 years ago. That's about what we were averaging. Bruce and I bumped it up to 35. Bruce and I bumped it up to 50. This year we bumped it up to 75. That's how much support there is out there for it. And it's just, I supply the foster children because of confidentiality issues. And Walmart opens before hours, so we start at 6:30 in the morning, which kids aren't happy, but they get McDonald's and juice and all kinds of stuff. But you know, then they get to sit on Santa's lap. But this also goes back to, Clint was talking about what an amazing community, and it showed during COVID. HMS host at the airport every year goes out, and the staff, and they purchase each child a personal gift and gift wrap it. So we don't even have the expense of the gifts for the children, that they cover that as part of their holiday giving through HMS host. So it's amazing.
It's an important and touching subject too. I mention it every year, and to me, that's one of the most foundational things. I mean, to reconnect to the community resources is very important for these young, minds. And you don't want them to see police as the enemy. I mean, they're a resource, and having that negative reaction can really have untold long impacts on their lives. So what you guys do is an integral part of creating a trust in the system that's there. Then, and it works. It really does. I mean, I've had, men and, women in their 30s now come up and just been like, thank you so much. It's when they were some of the first members, I mean, the help and support that they've gotten through you guys is the reason that they're able to function in, regular society, why they have a stable job, why they, while they were able to grow up and have the connections and help that they needed to thrive. So, I mean, it's all these different features and pieces fit together to really help the whole child. And yeah. I'm always so thankful for the dedication that you guys have put in. It's integral to the island survivor.
I love this program because my thought has always been in these times, like somebody in 9th grade, there should always be a class with a police officer teaching them interactions, because a lot of people, and you're in the front lines there, Paul, is that the negative thoughts of a police officer. To me, there should be a high school class where a police officer teaches it. Kids get to know what a police officer does, what the roles is, how you get pulled over, how you should act, and all that. And I'm excited about this, shop with the cop, because it's taken a negative, like you said, and turning it into a positive, so they don't grow up with the, hey, police officers are bad, I'm getting pulled over, it's time for me to run away. And then there's bigger problems that happen.
It's a healing tool, not only for the children, but more importantly for the police officers. Because if you don't think it traumatizes a police officer to watch a 3-year-old child being pulled off the parent that's being pulled out of the home, that's quite traumatic to go through that. They know there's damage being done to the child, not that they can't avoid it, but I'll tell you what happens is these officers show up and they look over and they see the child that they were involved or engaged in their removal. And they'll come up to me and say, can I have that child today? Right? So it's just, it goes beyond, right? It's not just about healing the children. It's also, it's a healing instrument for the police department also.
Yes. Oh, sorry, Clint, go.
No, I have several friends that are officers, and there's a lot of trauma that people don't realize cops go through on a daily basis. Because, they're often thought of as, this overbearing authority figure or something like that, but their job is to enforce the law and, and to create justice the best way that they're capable of. And there are, like you're saying, these terrible situations where they're having to, help, get this person help, and they need to remove them from the house in order to get them to recovery, even if it is a temporary amount of time in jail or whatnot. And it's traumatic for the officers, and they deal with that stuff on a regular basis. I mean, there's abuses in the system that the majority of the weight lie on the officer's shoulder, where there's people that'll call the police, have them come to their house just because they want the attention. I've seen it, whether that's EMTs or police coming there, and they know they're on a first name basis, but they show up still, and they're there trying to, coax and help the person that's, going through whatever mental trauma. And it's not necessarily the best use of their time, but they do the best that they can. So I think this is fantastic for the officers too, another way to connect and help on a more, a holy basis, as opposed to just being an authoritative figure.
And the funny thing is, I don't know if you go on Facebook, Byron, but if you go look at our Christmas photos with Shop at the Cop, they walk into a wall of 60 plus police officers. That's how these children enter the event. And
Wow.
the look of fear on their faces, but at the end of it, I had a kid with a little police car, and that's what was part of the things he bought. And he tells me now he's going to be a policeman, right? So it goes back to what Clinton was saying. It's just such a positive interaction. One of my own personal foster sons was homeless, young, living behind Walmart, doing drugs, and when we and my husband took him under our care, he told me his dream was always to be a police officer. His first memory is that his dad shot himself through the head in front of him, committed suicide. That's his first memory as a child. And then his mom had challenges with drugs and alcohol and belittled him and told him that he was going to become that man. Hence why he winds up homeless doing drugs behind Walmart. He is now living in Pitt, and Clint's met him quite a few times. He's one of my shining stars as a son, but he is in Pismo Beach now applying to be a police officer.
Oh, nice. Now, volunteering, how does one go about? Is there a volunteering option with you all?
So volunteering sort of a little bit tough with us because of our location. We never know when someone's going to have to, unfortunately, come here with a child. And that's the purpose of the Children's Justice Center. If you think of Law and Order, when they're talking to the children in the little playrooms, we have the playroom. That's what this facility is. So office wise, we have to, all the board members that volunteer or any other volunteers that come in have to be cleared through the courts. And not that it can't happen. So we don't need a lot of internal, because we have 15 board members. And believe it or not, if you're familiar with boards, I've had people ask me to be on boards that I have no interest in, but because they need a board member so they can be in compliance. And I was like, I have no passion for what you're doing, but you know what I mean? So we actually have a waiting list for our board, and we have no term limits. And so it's just like Maureen Mars described it perfectly. We're a family, and we're going to become someone else's family until they can have a family of their own, but the things we do every year that we really benefit from is the Century Tournament of Champions.
Oh, wow. Tell me about that.
So what happens is we have volunteer tasks assigned through the PGA Open, which is the first week of January. And for every person hour that we supply volunteers, the PGA and Century gift back funds from the tournament back to the nonprofit, and we do very well. And it's a lot of the people that work for child welfare, family court, they don't make a lot of money, but they're very grateful for all the services and funding we give them. And they love it because it's a way that they can go volunteer for 5 hours, their 5-hour shifts, and feel that they've just made a donation back to the friends just by sharing their time and talent. So that's our biggest struggle of the year every year, because people, you try to recruit them during Christmas, and we do okay. I mean, we get there, but it's always, I'm running around playing Santa Claus, and at the same time, I'm trying to get 100 volunteers together. So that's a big volunteer need that we always have. And again, it's just sharing your time and talent and some gas money if you have to drive to over to Kapalua. But it's a great event. It's a great way to go into beautiful surrounding and watch the whales while you're volunteering. And get
It
to
always amazes me, all the different things that you guys do and all the outreach, and you know, you're always going. Every time I've talked to you, you know, you answer my phone, my call every single time, and you're always in the middle of doing something amazing. So it just literally wow.
Well, another thing, Byron, we do is we're strong. I just got awarded a statewide award in April for being outspoken child advocate in the state of Hawaii.
Nice.
And my board laughed because they said they added the word outspoken because it was me that got it. I am a strong child advocate. I am in family court a lot. And I am the voice, because being a foster parent, I'll tell you, you know, I have kids that we've taken in from Molokai. Okay, they're Hawaiian boys from a rural island. They're moving in with 2 gay guys, Howleys, meat and potato people. My father-in-law lives with me. And it's a culture shock for these kids, and they don't talk. They're very polite, thank you. But, you know, again, you uprooted them from what was normal to them, even though it was not healthy.
Yeah.
That's all they know of life, right? And you put them into a different thing. But we have a running joke now, because one of my sons, Ka'ua, when we took him in 6 years ago, never talked. He'd thank us, he'd be very gracious and go to his room after dinner. But we brought in Hawaiian mentors. You know, you always have to think, you know, so once a week they'd go out and they'd spend time with someone from their culture. Made sure that when we were looking at a therapist, that we had a culturally sensitive therapist for them. But the running joke is I only watch one news show, and it's because I'm a Boston boy, and it's Lawrence O'Donnell. I love Lawrence O'Donnell's sarcasm as a Boston guy. And, you know, and I record it, and it's so funny. I used to be able to come home and watch it, and now if Kua's down and he pops next to me, it's there's the end of the show. I'm not watching. I gotta hit pause. And I make a running joke to my husband. I said, remember the days when he didn't talk? Right. But that's the advocacy. That's being the voice for these kids until they're able to find their own. You know, being that young man that's in Pismo Beach right now, living his dream, that had no hopes. You know, they were taken away, right? When you're living behind Walmart at 14 years old, and your dream is to be a police officer, and no one knows that. Right. So we were able to take him in and get him back into a good space where he was saying, I've always wanted to be a police officer. I called 2 detectives. Would you mentor this young man? Absolutely. And they've literally, you know, so it takes a village. They've literally changed his life.
Now, what besides the Christmas, what other major fundraise drives or that community can look for, or how do they find your fundraisers?
So we do a fundraiser every October. Next year, it's October 13th. We book it out. It's 200 max at King Kamehameha Club, golf club. It's a Pauhana Friday night event, and it's something that people say, oh my God, you sell out every year. You should double up. We don't want to double up. We love the intimacy in the room. This year, we're right now with $37,000 over. This is the first event we've had since COVID. And we exceeded our goal by $37,000. There's a lot of generous people that support the friends that come to the event. So that's always in October. We send out invites towards the end of August.
I'm super excited about our event since this is the first one since COVID.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were planning on doing it last year. And a lot of the vendors scared us away because we did get county approval as one of the events since it was outdoors. But some of them were literally saying, you know, if somebody gets sick and dies, that's manslaughter charges. And I'm just like, what? So it scared us away from doing it last year. And we're just so excited. But even with that, I mean, as you know, we were still running around and, you know, having our office as a site for donations, you know, working towards our normal goals. And every year has been better than the last, which, you know, even during the lockdowns and not even able to have events, we blew it out the doors. I mean, that was some of the most donations we've ever had in terms of every cornerstone, like funds and presents. So I'm just, thank you everybody that is willing to, you know, it's not just about a party and socializing. So I really appreciate they're there for the spirit of giving. And I just feel so blessed that we could be a part of that.
I mean, your event has constantly evolved year after year. Even during COVID, I think people were more generous, understanding the struggle that the children were going through. And now that Don is able to still hold on to it a little bit and pass the torch to Clint, you know, Clint is bringing in a whole different generation of people, you know, and that's like with my board of directors, right? We're founded by Betty Lees, Maureen Mars, you know, Tom Lutnick, or this whole group of people back then that were all in this circle, that their passion and empathy for these kids. So now we're having the children of these people, because they're all hitting this late 70s and 80s, take over the reins and come in and become board members. And it's amazing to watch the legacy, you know, with Clint being passed on to Clint, taking a lot of responsibilities on with this toy drive.
Now that'll be my daughters too. I've got a 9 and 11-year-old, and they've been helping. But
Hopefully
this
I'm
year,
retired by then.
yeah. Well, no, sir. I'm making sure you're still coming to the events at the minimum.
You know, I have a running joke because my board keeps saying they want a 10-year notice.
Now
they need it. They need it. You got quite some shoes and fans to fill. That's for sure. I mean, you know, this will be the first year that my older daughter is going to be really putting the pedal to the metal on helping, and she's got a long list of volunteer stuff that she's going to be helping with during the party. So it'll be interesting to see as she gets to scale the operation, because previously, you know, her job was to come and just hang out and be sweet and say hello to people. And now she's got an actual role between, you know, helping put out dishes and with the photographer and, you know, flipping switches at the right moment. So I'm excited to make them a continual part of the history of our family.
And they also, I bring usually 1 or 2 of the foster kids, and it's amazing. And one of the last years we had one young man said, "Uncle, I want to help. I want to give back." And I said, okay. So I brought him to the event, and I said, "You got to get a little dressed up. You know, it's not board shorts and stuff." "Oh, okay." Well, he was in a foster home in Haiku. I drive all the way out to get him, and he must have borrowed, the kids all of 5 feet tall. He must have borrowed a 6-foot uncle's jeans that he had all rolled up. They had stains on them. He had, you know, if he's out in the, you know, rural Haiku, he's got dirty shoes. And I was like, holy crap, what do I do? Right. So I didn't want to insult him. And I said, you know what? Let's stop at Target on the way. And I went in and we picked out a whole new outfit for him. And this kid was beaming when he showed up at the house. And the Hansens and the guests just make these kids feel so special when they arrive. And then as Clint says, they can't look at you. They're afraid. You
Yeah.
know, they've never been surrounded by this type of caliber of people before. So it's overwhelming for them. But you know what? It's part of their growth. It's part of their healing.
Nice.
And they make statements. These are statements, and these are quotes. They actually listen to me. That's one of their quotes. They made another quote. They made me feel wanted. No child should have to make that statement.
Yeah.
But that's, and thank you, Clint, because these kids always feel that way when they leave. They felt that they were special. Even though I make them load the truck at the end of the night. Child labor.
Well,
You know, it does surprise me too. A lot of the people that reach out to me to come to the event have, always felt, we sell real estate, of course, and a lot of that is high end. But I mean, we do a wide variety of properties. The giving is not just this. This isn't our only avenue. With our clients as well, we've had to deal with people that are moving into dementia. And their families contacting us, they need resources on island, and moving them out of their house into a care facility. We have had to clean out insane messes from people's house in order to get it ready to sell, in order to help fund the person's end of care situations where there's like dead animals in the house, and carpets that need to be replaced, and preparing. And that's honestly, I do a little bit, but my dad he's an older guy, but he's a big guy. I mean, he's 6'3", and bad back from a car accident, but he's still like, I see him on there on his hands and knees, like scrubbing stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I could come and help you. And they literally have the biggest hearts when it comes to a whole avenue of outreach.
That's instilled into you as a family, seriously, because Clint sold the home next to me. And then the Saturday after he sold,
right.
he got the money. He could have just walked away and said, what a nice little sale. But the people were stuck on the mainland, and they had things in the house so he held his own yard sale and donated all the funds that came in from the yard sale to the friends.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. So, I mean, that's something that has to be instilled into you.
Yeah.
He didn't just say, okay, I'm going to make extra money off of all the stuff they had to leave. No, he says, someone's going to benefit from this, not me, but the community's going to benefit from this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where can someone make a financial donation? If they can't give a toy, where does someone go?
You can go online. It's pretty easy online. It's the website's easy. It's www.maui, and then the letter C is in children, the letter J is in justice, the letter C is in center, .org.
Is Venmo doing 501c3s yet?
No, remember we tried it 1 year, but I might be getting there because believe it or not, I went to Rocky Horror Picture Show at the.
Oh, that's great.
And they only took Venmo, and I was like, because Clinton asked me last year, and I was like, Venmo, what? Technology and me, and no, but I thought of that when I was there. I thought of you. I was like, oh yeah, there's Venmo again. So.
I know that Venmo is so easy to use, and that's one of a really great avenue to get money across to people. But the problem is I know last year they were having difficulty with 501c3s.
Yeah. My CPA cautioned me from using it until they get a better system in place.
I believe they're actually going to be having a filing to legitimize 501c3 so that when you send it, you can see it's certified as a nonprofit.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's there yet. And I know that's the hurdle to overcome. So a check is usually the best way to send it.
Credit card online. Yeah. There's little Santa.
Yeah.
There's all little different things that you can help categories online. Well, you can
It'll
always
happen
call
though.
the
I think
office.
within this year or next year, it's got to, because I know they're getting a lot of a push from a lot of different directions, because it's the digital age, and being able to
Right.
move money across should be able to be with a push of a button. Putting pen to paper is becoming, more of a task these days. So the credit card, that's great. Oh man, got to push in those numbers. No, just
Yeah.
boop, hit the Venmo button, send a little cash, and you're on your way.
Yeah. No, we are evolving, believe it or
Yeah.
not. We are evolving. Even we have a young board member. She's with the PGA actually, and she is now assisting. She's in her 30s. She's assisting me, and one of my Hanai sons is going to help with Twitter and Instagram and all this new technology stuff. So she's bringing us into the 21st century.
They're gonna drag you kicking and screaming, right?
I still have my flip phone sitting in my drawer. Every night I see it when I put my watch and ring away, just wanting it back. Yeah, I don't like technology.
If you think that's an old phone, my mom and dad, those wooden phones
I had
on the
them.
wall,
Oh yeah.
and you crank it and it makes sparks to call an
Yep.
operator. My parents still have that phone, and it is the phone that my dad called my mom on their first date.
Yeah.
So and my kids are blown away. They're like, they have more technology in one of these things, cell phones, and they're looking at a block of wood on the wall that makes sparks to make phone calls and talk to a person. They're like, what is that? Caveman days. So, hey, thank you so much for coming and joining us. Is there any last thoughts you'd like to give before we wrap up the show?
No, I just, I have a lot of gratitude for the community, especially you and your family. Byron, very nice to meet you today.
Pleasure.
Appreciate the conversation surrounding the importance of playing the healing role, because we all do, and everyone wants to heal a child. Just got a lot of gratitude. So
I'm glad you came on because I learned a lot. I mean, and thank you, Clint. I had no clue. I'm, looking at the website, look at donating, but I'm just glad that, we're opening or sharing with the community different opportunities to help our fellow neighbors and, fellow residents.
Right. Yep.
I'm sure some kids want to learn how to do drone or foiling. So,
Yeah.
Paul's going to hit you up.
There you go.
And thank you so much. I've been passing lots of people to Byron, getting loans. A lot of people don't realize that the rate has actually dropped recently, with some of the bond buybacks. And the rates are going to continue to go up. And with the crazy costs and rent that are out there, it's a lot of times cheaper to be owning. So, reach out to him at Axia Home Loans, Byron Yap. You can always just Google him, but do you want to give your contact?
My contact, Byron Yap, 808-280-3491, or byron.yap@axiahomeloans.com. Thanks, Clint.
My pleasure. And Paul, what's that website again?
www.maui, C as in children, J as in justice, C as in center.org.
This is Clint Hansen with Maui Luxury Real Estate and the Hansen Ohana. Bob and Donna send their love and aloha to everybody here. And if you want to listen to this or any show, you can always join us at 7 a.m. on the KAOI radio group, or just listen to us at MauiRealEstateRadio.com, where you can listen to this and all our other podcasts. Aloha.
Aloha.